Hey YouTube, I am back. I'm back for the Haves and the Have-Nots, my review of Season 5, Episode 7, titled Every 6 Months. In other words, I need my money on time. Okay? But before we jump into this review, y'all already know what it is. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. If you're new, subscribe. If you're returning, thank you so much. And let's just dig right on in. Because y'all know this was a good episode, okay? I appreciated it. Okay, so let's just jump right in. So, of course, it starts off where it left off, with Candace as just like jumped on top of Quita. They're in the same jail cell because Quita has went too far and like brought her son into the argument, her deceased son. So Candace is getting the best of her at this point. The police officer is pulling them off of each other. Candace is still yelling. And she was like, Candace even said something like, I'll get you just like I got Quincy. Something like that. Like, don't quote those words exactly, but she mentioned like your brother. She said like, oh, I'll get you like I got your brother. And I'm like, jail is probably not the right place to say that. But then again, it was like in the heat of the moment. But conveniently, Detective George, the one that's working on Candace's case, the Harrington's case, the Cryer's case, I mean, he's on everybody's case. He is conveniently right there, and he wants to talk to Candace. Okay. Of course, she doesn't want to talk to him, but she doesn't have a choice. He brings her into the interrogation room. He said, I want to talk to you about Quincy Maxwell. And she's like, who? Come again? And then she's like, Detective George said, I want to talk to you about the murder charges for Quincy Maxwell. And so Candace is like, I think you're mistaken. I don't have any charges filed against me for the murder of Quincy. So then he's like, well, I do have this bracelet right here. And first of all, I've already been told the whole story before. So it had to do with you and Jeffrey Harrington and your brother. And this handmade bracelet, I'm sure, has a lot of different DNA on it. And when I run it, I'm sure it's going to come back. So you may as well tell me what's going on now. She's like, I don't have anything to say. You must have me mistaken. So he basically keeps trying to like give more details about the story that he already knows, kind of just to catch her off guard to see if maybe she'll crack. But this is Candace we're dealing with. So Candace remains, I plead the fifth. I don't have anything to say because I don't have anything to do with this. And then Detective George even tries to get Candace to feel like, hey, Jeffrey Harrington, he's cracking in here. Like, he is going to snitch. Why would you have him go to jail for something you did? It's really unfortunate. She's like, look, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then he's like, okay, well, whatever. Just know Jeffrey could turn on you and you would both be in here. But as of right now, you're right. There's no charges pressed against you. Actually, you're being discharged with no bail, no record of you being here, nothing. So you must have friends in pretty high places, which we know that friend in pretty high places is Charles, but we will get to him later on. Okay, so anyways, Detective George leaves out, and then Jeffrey Harrington walks in, and all the police walk out. Now, we think, oh, they have privacy in this moment, but not really, because it's an interrogation room, and that room is being recorded. So, of course, they're trying to get them to incriminate themselves. They know that Jeffrey is about to crack under pressure. So, Jeffrey, when he comes in the room, everybody leaves out. Candace is looking at him like, keep in mind that this is a recorded room, okay? So don't say nothing too crazy. We'll talk outside of here. So Jeffrey is like, why am I here? And then Candace says games, because they're just playing games and realize this is a game and let's beat them at their own game. So then Jeffrey is like, why would my mother turn me in? And then Candace is like, I don't know, because you didn't do anything. And then Jeffrey is like, well, why wouldn't she turn you in? And then Candace is like, once again, because I didn't do anything and you didn't do anything. That's why she didn't turn me in. She doesn't have a reason. And then Jeffrey is like, are you in cahoots with my mom? Like, are you guys planning something? Because how are you getting out, but I'm still in here, and I feel like this is going to be pinned on me. You know what happened. She's like, no, nothing happened. Jeffrey, calm down. if they don't hurry up and get Jeffrey out of jail, I mean, everybody's going to end up in jail. Like, Jeffrey's just going to start singing to the birds. Like, and he won't even have like a plea deal or anything. So, whatever. So, Candace is getting really irritated by him, but she's trying to keep him calm. At one point, he's like, no, I think that you guys, you and my mom, are in cahoots with each other, and you have something against me, and you won't tell me. So how about I just start talking, period? And he's like, officer, officer. And Candace is like, calm down, okay? Everything is going to be okay. Do not start talking. So he's like, no, you just want to control me, just like my mom wants to control me. She's like, I'm not controlling you. I'm just trying to give you good advice. Calm down. Well, at this point, we know that Jeffrey is he's just about at his breaking point. So Candace calms him down. And then finally, when the officer comes, she tells him to shut his mouth. And she leaves out because she's being discharged. Okay. So once Candace is discharged, a random female officer comes up to her and she's like, who got you out? And Candace is like, I don't know. And then the officer is like, you don't have any bail, any paperwork. Somebody really important wanted to make sure you didn't have this on your record. And Candace is like, girl, Jesus got me out. Okay, get to know him. So then the officer is just like, whatever. Clearly, I'm not going to get any answers out of her. So then Candace starts walking out and she runs into David. David is basically telling Candace, like, you know what happened, although it was self-defense. Well, Jeffrey was trying to defend you, so you need to just go ahead and turn yourself in so that the charges can get dropped. And it's like, David, come on now. You're much smarter than that. You are a judge. You know that people are not going to just turn themselves in to exonerate the other person. And it's not like Jeffrey is her brother or anything. Like, I don't even think Candace would do that for Benny, to be honest. So, David, please. So, of course, they're just idle threats to Candace. Candace doesn't care about that. So then he says something like to her, like, David says, so you're willing to have him go down for you, like go down for something that you did. And then Candace says, do you know Oscar? And then David is like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like he caught a sudden case of amnesia. And then so Candace is like, no, you know Oscar. You know, the one that you set up to, you know, kind of like finesse me and end up stealing all my money. And then Jeffrey is like, not Jeffrey, David is like, I don't know what you're talking about. She was like, yeah. So this right here, this is called payback. So yes, I am willing to have Jeffrey go down for this. And so in this moment, I don't know if Candace is being serious or not. I'm not 1,000% sure, but she knows they're going to have to blame the crime on someone. So it may end up being Jeffrey, but we'll see. Okay, so then at this point, we see Landon. Landon is standing at a hotel in the hallway texting on his phone. This random lady, she's a white lady. They still haven't said what her name was. Maybe somebody else caught it, and if so, let me know below. But clearly she's working on the campaign trail with Landon, and she's the one that called him out about, like, having a thing for Great Value Obama last week, and he got irritated. So basically, they do the same thing this week. She tries to apologize to him, but she's like, you know, I was telling the truth. You know, you're in love with him. And he's like, excuse me, I am not in love with him. And then she's like, yes, you are. You need to just admit it. Actually, it's going to start becoming really obvious to him if you don't calm down. And so Landon is like, excuse me, you're the last person to be talking, because how is the senator doing? You know, the senator that you're sleeping with. No, actually, how is his wife doing? And so they're like throwing low blows, going back and forth. They're just not really like on good terms at this point. So they end up like giving their little snappy comments. She rolls her eyes and walks off. Okay, so next thing you know, we see Hannah. Hannah is like at the end of her tea date with Derek, basically. They're like laughing and talking and all that, and things seem to be going well to the point where Derek was like, it's so good to see you smile. Yesterday when I saw you at your house, you were so sad. It's like I just wanted to hug you. And she was like, I'm glad you didn't hug me because I'm not a touchy-feely type of person, which I'm the same way. And so not David, Derek is like, no, I mean, I didn't want to scare you, but I really did want to hug you. You seem so sad, but I'm happy you're in good spirits now. And she's like, oh, that's life. And he's like, actually, I would love to, for you to go out to dinner with me. And of course, she tries to play like hard to get, tries to pretend like, I got to wrap up this date because I got to go help the maid or with Catherine or something. But eventually, you can tell she likes him. So she decides, okay, I'll go out for dinner with you. So they're supposed to go to dinner tomorrow night. Okay. So then we see all in the same scene. He decides to leave out. Hannah walks into the front room, and Catherine is just like all of a sudden like sitting down on the couch, like trying to look natural, right? But really, we all know that she was eavesdropping, and Hannah knows this too. And so Catherine is excited, like, oh, you're gonna be going out on a date. Catherine overheard Hannah say, I don't want to go anywhere fancy because I don't have no fancy clothes. And I'm like, first of all, Hannah, how you start is how you finish, okay? I'm not saying he has to take you to the most expensive restaurant, but don't go to like Culver's or like IHOP just because you got IHOP clothes. Like, come on now. Like, he could treat you not like like even if your house blew up, all kinds of stuff has happened to you. You haven't been having a good life, and he could tell stuff has been going on. Okay, so girl, bye. Like, he could take you somewhere nice. But whatever the case, Catherine overheard this. She's like, what do you mean you don't have any nice clothes? And so Hannah's like, you already know all the stuff that's been going on in my life. Catherine was like, girl, I got you. I pay for everything you need. And that's not what she said, but that's kind of basically what she said. She offered Hannah a makeover, and Hannah was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm good. He needs to take me as I am. And I'm like, girl, but like, you can jazz it up. It's supposed to be like a date. Like, this is no longer coffee. This is a dinner date. But whatever the case, of course, Catherine like pushes, like, I'm going to bring my girls over and they're going to style you. And she's like, no, Catherine, I'm not doing it. So she'll probably end up doing it. Okay, so anyway, then we see Quita Maxwell, Quincy's sister. So she's walking out of jail, and Oscar is waiting outside for her. And we find out in that scene that Oscar bailed her out of jail. Well, she's thinking like, oh, a white man bailed me out of jail. Okay, he wants me to turn some tricks. And he's like, no, 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 no. Like, I just have questions I need you to answer. And so basically he's asking her like information about Wyatt and his card and the PIN number and why didn't it work. And she's like, I don't know, he must have changed his PIN number. She was like, well, I need you to give me as much information as you can on that PIN number or anything else regarding his accounts. I'll give you $500 just for future information. And she's like, oh, okay, so you need me to go do a little favor for you, And he's like, no, like, I don't want any type of physical interaction with you at all. Like, I just want future information. And she's like, okay. I mean, you don't give me $500. I mean, I can go do a little something for you. I'm like, Quita, chill out, okay? This is different, okay? So she's like, okay, whatever. And then she leaves. So then a police officer walks up because this police officer is working with Oscar. He's actually the reason why Quita got bailed out of jail. And clearly, like, Oscar had paid off that officer to get Quita out of jail so he could ask her questions. Well, the officer comes to get his money, but then what is his name? Oscar is like, hey, I have actually another business deal for you where I could give you more money. And then so the officer is like, okay, come talk to me. So they walk away and talk. So clearly they're setting up some type of deal. So then we go over to David and Veronica. So David calls Veronica once again about Jeffrey. Same old, want. Sad story. Like, if you're going to call her, like, have a new approach. Have a different tactic. Not like, Jeffrey is struggling in here. We need to get him out of jail. And I'm like, that doesn't move, Veronica, okay? Come up with some type of plan when you're talking to the Ice Queen. Because, you're going to need strategy dealing with her. But David just acts stupid sometimes. But whatever the case, he calls her By the way she answered the phone, he automatically asked her, like, have you been drinking? Are you drinking again? And she's like, oh, of course, twice a day. And he's like, well, I'm gonna need you to get sober because I need to talk to you. We need to get Jeffrey out of jail. Wah 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 wah. So then Veronica says, did you run me off the road? He's like, no, I didn't run you off the road. Like, but that's beyond the point. We need to talk about Jeffrey. She's like, no, it was either between you or Catherine or Jim. And I'm like, Veronica, you're usually much smarter than this. Like, you know, you have more enemies than that. You clearly just put your son and his secret lover on screen in a courtroom in front of everyone. You don't think that that officer is your enemy? Think, Veronica, think. Okay, so whatever. She doesn't even suspect Justin at this point. But she'll realize it sooner than David realizes anything that's going on in his life. Then at some point in the conversation, David is still talking the same stuff, get Jeffrey out of jail. So Veronica, then she starts like threatening to put hands on Erica, and he's like, don't touch her, don't touch her. And Veronica is like, oh, you're a little testy when it comes to her. Whatever. And then so she gets tired of his conversation. So she's like, you know what? I'm bored. I have to go. And hangs up the phone. I'm like, yes. Because I get bored with David too. I get really bored with him. Okay, so anyways, then we see Wyatt. Wyatt calls his credit card company so that he can claim fraud on his card for like $3,500 or something. They tell him he needs a police report to do so. So of course he calls Oscar's number back. Oscar is like pretending to be a police officer that's going to get him a police report. So Oscar tells him come down to the precinct and he can help him. Okay. So then we see Mitch and Benny. Mitch and Benny are walking into some type of restaurant or a public establishment, and Benny is introduced to Mitch's Uncle Vin. And this is the guy that he wants to borrow money from. So then Benny tells him he wants to buy a loan. The uncle straight out says no. Mitch is like, is it because he's black? The uncle says, duh, it's because he's black. He's not going to pay me back. And I'm like, dang, that's pretty messed up. But then Mitch mentions that, oh, Benny is Candace's brother, Candace Young. And, you know, she's helped out our family recently. And Benny is like, wait, what? Like my sister? What happened? I'm like, Benny, you're always the last person to find out everything. And so Mitch is like, I'll tell you later. But he reminds his uncle, Candace brought us war and Warlock. And so he's like, oh, okay, so we do owe her. Okay, fine, I'll give him the loan. Then Benny tells him he needs $4,500. And then then the uncle says, great, it's going to be 25% interest. And I'm like, dang, like, that's like a first time car, like, buyer that doesn't have any credit or bad credit and no cosigner, like 25% interest. Oh my gosh. So then he like agrees to it because he has no choice. He wants to get this tow truck. But he tells Uncle Vin tells him the payments are due every 6 months, like $1,800 or something like that, until he pays it off with interest. So he needs to make sure he gets it paid. They don't sign contracts or anything. You're basically signing in blood. So make sure you have my money. I need my money on time every 6 months. So Benny is cool with it. Mitch is still like, hey, and he like actually Benny gets the cash while he's there. Mitch is like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Like once we walk out, it's done. Mitch is like, and then Benny is like, I'm good. This is what I want to do. So then Benny decides to, when he's walking out the door, he gets a phone call from Veronica. Veronica wants him to come over. Apparently, Jeffrey has told David that Benny buried Quincy's body in the backyard. So this is kind of a rush situation. Although we know that Veronica is just trying to get Benny over to the house. Okay, so then we see Candace. Candace shows up at David's new house. and knocks on the door. She knows David's not there because she knows David's at the police station. So Erica opens the door, shocked to see Candace, but Candace does whatever she wants to do. Of course, she always threatens to slap Erica, and I'm like, okay, Candace, we know you're her pimp. Like, you don't have to threaten to slap her every single time. Like, these, like, idle threats, like, nothing happens when you threaten her. Like, you maybe slap her once out of every 5 threats. Like, come on now. So that irritates me just watching it. But whatever. Candace tells Erica she doesn't want her to get the money. It's too soon. Actually, she wants Erica to get all of his, like, bank account numbers, every account number to anything. Insurance policies, savings accounts, trust, kid stuff, mama's maiden name. She wants his blood type. She wants everything because she wants to take David for everything. And so then Erica is like, okay, I'll do what I have to do. And then so Candace tells her, work on that because you don't have much time. Okay, so then we see Great Value Obama and Landon, also known as Charles. They're in the room. Landon, they just come back from some type of speech or something. Landon is complimenting him as usual, and then he even asks to take off his shoes, and Great Value Obama is like, no, I'm good. And so he's like, well, you're gonna have to get used to this. Like, everybody is gonna be like obsessed with you, like wanting to help you, your every move, like once you get elected as president. And Charles is like, I can take off my own shoes. So then Landon passes Charles a drink. Charles mentions that he needs Landon's help. And then Landon is like, what, with Candace? And he's like, actually, no. I need help with my kids. I know that I'm going to be in the spotlight, but I want their lives to remain as normal as possible. So if you could help me out with that, that'll be great. So then Landon says, yes, I can help you. Actually, I can help you with anything else you need. Anytime, any day, any place. And it's like, Landon, he never like catches on to all your passes at him. Just let it go. Okay, so once again, he also offers to help him take off his shoes. And Great Value Obama is like, bro, chill out. I don't want your help. Okay, so he says, I'm good. And then Landon leaves. Okay, so then we see Wyatt. Wyatt walks into the police station, of course, to file this police report. Oscar is conveniently sitting in the front room. Then they send Wyatt back to the interrogation room. That paid off police officer comes in, basically gives him a piece of paper. It says, here, write all your bank account numbers on here. And actually, I'm going to need your phone too. He made up some reason to get his phone, but Wyatt was just like, whatever. All the police are legit, so I'll give him my phone. He gives him the phone. Then the police officer comes out. Oscar is waiting outside the door. He gives him the phone, gets his money. That's their transaction. And then, of course, he'll get the bank account information off the paper, too. I'm like, these little shady cops, but whatever. So that's all that Oscar wanted out of that situation. So then we see Sarah. Sarah, the girl that used to be an escort that needs to get the evidence to Jim. So Sarah shows up at Jim's room, has all the evidence from Wyatt and Jeffrey as far as wanting to testify against them, gives the evidence to Jim so that it can't be used against him. And then Jim is like, okay, you're boring me. Thanks so much. I'll call you again in the future, so expect your phone to ring. But for now, this is all I need. You can go home. So they're even at this point. Okay, so then we see Veronica. Her doorbell rings. She's like, oh, I'll get it. And Melissa was like, of course you're going to get it because I wasn't going to get up. Melissa is always on 10 at this point, okay? Melissa sounds like a person that is like constantly like drunk or something that's always going to like speak their like, what is that? A drunk mind speaks like sober truths or something like that. That's Melissa in this moment. Like all she does is says exactly what comes to her mind. So then of course Veronica is irritated by her, but then she tells who's ever at the door, open the door, come in. It's Benny. So then of course Melissa is like, hey Benny. And I'm like, girl, bye, calm down. You know that's Veronica's man in her mind. So whatever. Veronica is like, Benny, let's go upstairs. They go upstairs. Melissa is taunting them, whatever. So then when Veronica and Benny go upstairs, she tells Benny that Jeffrey told everything that happened, basically. So Benny is freaking out and is like, what should I do? I could be in a lot of trouble. And then Veronica's like, just calm down, let me handle things. I got this. Like, and I really got you where I want you right now, because all I want you to do is get undressed, because you already know, like why you're here, like, basically, like, don't play dumb. But you also know that, like, the fate of your freedom is in my hands at this point. So of course he is gonna do whatever Veronica says. So he starts getting undressed and they start getting down with the get down. Okay. Meanwhile, Melissa is still downstairs on the couch. Veronica's doorbell rings again. Melissa says, come in, and it's David. Okay. So then, so Melissa's like, yes, this is gonna be great, like drama city. So then Melissa's like, oh, come inside. Oh, you're looking for Veronica? Actually, I'll take you upstairs to her, because she knows that Veronica and Benny are upstairs, more than likely getting down. So then she takes him upstairs. The door is locked, and Melissa's like, bump this. Let me get a hairpin and let me open the door. And so David is like, no, you don't have to do that. And she's like, bye, I'm gonna open this door. Opens the door. Of course, when she opens the door, surprise, we see Veronica and Benny in the sheets. At this point, David doesn't even look like mad. He looks like disgusted. Like, you're messing with this crazy woman, like, still, like, girl, he doesn't want you. So if you ever want to make him jealous, it's not gonna work. But anywho, that was this week, the review of this week's episode. If you made it this far and you're not a part of the family, subscribe. And if you enjoyed this, like, comment, share. I really like having interactions with you guys, and I'm looking forward to If Loving You Is Wrong tomorrow. So check me out at mrsblogaholic.com. Bye.